course. Welcome back to the ONFORM podcast. How is everybody doing? Let me see here to make sure that the stream is actually connecting. Right? So there we go. There it is. Welcome back to the ONFORM podcast. My name is Roman. This podcast, we talk about any and all things Liverpool FC. I'm jumping on a little bit late here. It's having some very weird technical difficulties and things like that. But I just want to say welcome to everybody to another edition. We will eventually dial this thing in. But we're here to talk about Liverpool. What's happening this week? Who's on form? Who's out of form? And what is it? What all this means, right? In terms of where Liverpool sit in the table, where Liverpool sit in the Premier League, and how some of the results from the weekend affect us. So it should be a really good one. This next week, I know we have West Ham tomorrow, so that should be a really interesting clash. I expect Arne Slot to rotate the team. So it should be, we should see a lot of debuts, first appearances for Arne Slot or under Arne Slot for a lot of players. So I'm looking forward to seeing Trey and Yoni maybe getting a run out. I know there's rumors that he might actually start the game tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing Chiesa also getting a run out. But that's really exciting stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But I do want to talk about who is on form this week and who is out of form this week. Very interesting stuff, very spicy stuff happening in the Premier League this week. And me personally, I love it, man. For the on form teams, we're obviously going to bring up Liverpool. It's hard for you not to bring up Liverpool right now, mainly because this is a Liverpool fan channel, but I might have a little bit of bias on that. But they're one of the key, or one of the only teams in the league right now that are as consistent as they are, second in the league, which is a huge accomplishment for Arne Slot to come into a side that essentially isn't his. He hasn't bought any players yet, right? And essentially just keep the rhythm, keep things, the flow of things going. So many times after a manager leaves, you see a drop off. You see a drop off in if the players are willing to play for that manager. You see a drop off in results. You see there's a lot of the times needs to be like a gelling period, right, where the manager is able to kind of implement his style of play. That hasn't happened with Arne Slot. And if that Forest game doesn't happen, where we lose at home at Anfield, we'd be sitting at top of the table, and we only lost that game by 1-0, in which we essentially dominated for the most part. So for me, Liverpool are one of those teams that are on form this week. And Sugarman J, I see you. Slot gave a very realistic statement regarding our defense thus far. I did not see that one. So if you want to give us like a brief synopsis on what he thinks about it, I have to think that he's pleased. I mean, we've only conceded 2 goals all season, which is a positive thing. And hopefully that continues. I know under Klopp, we kind of had a reputation of having like a leaky defense, right? And that leaky defense got us into a lot of trouble sometimes. So seeing a shift and a change to where, and I think I honestly think it's just maybe a testament to the style of play that, we aren't trying to ram the ball down the opposition's throat for 90 minutes straight, right? We are taking our time now, right? Controlling the game late on, not trying to, overdo anything or anything like that late in games. And I think you can kind of see some of the fruits of that style of play. Is it exciting? I still think Liverpool is very exciting. I think they're a very exciting team. And we'll talk about which team that I think is boring now in the league. a little bit later on. But the momentum is building. We have key players stepping up. You got players like Nunez, who's, doing his thing, putting on performances that we need to see. And hopefully he continues that in this West Ham game. And I think he does get a run out in that game and maybe starts. And Mo Salah playing well. I know there's a lot of people that are saying Mo's not having, like a good season or something like that, or like he's been off the mark the past couple games. I think he's been great, even though he hasn't been able to score in the past couple games. But he looks threatening still. He looks very, very threatening still. And I think he's not getting enough credit that he deserves. But Sugarman, he said, basically, his statement was good, but it's against lower teams within the league. The true test comes when we play Arsenal and City. Yeah, 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that. And we'll see. And as for Arsenal, I think we don't have very much to worry about in terms of whether we're going to concede goals against them, because they've turned into Atletico London. All of a sudden, they've turned into Atletico London. Arteta's style of play has completely shifted from the pretty passages of play and stuff like that, and super technical, to a low block, which is very interesting, and it's working. They're still unbeaten in the league, and we'll dive in a little bit on that whole Arsenal and City kind of battle that happened over the weekend that I had popcorn out for. But let's keep digging into some of these teams that are on form, right? So, Aston Villa, they're solid. They just keep coming from behind, digging out results. It's things that you really want to see in a top four contender. And the fact that they continue to stick around at the top is really impressive. And I think Unai Emery, he deserves a lot of credit for what he's doing at that club. I know he's kind of got a weird reputation, especially around London and things like that, right? Where, he's kind of, they deemed him incompetent, but Aston Villa's let him build the team that he wants to build, right? And giving him the reins and the control over things. And seeing Moussa Diaby move on was actually a little weird for me. I thought he was like one of their best players on the team. But now you got different players stepping up, like John Duran, and there's another young British kid that plays in the number 10, and he's like a big dude, but great feet, good technicality, and a little cocky, from what I understand. I can't remember what his name is, but they're moving and they're humming. And this is with Ollie Watkins not even really firing all the way yet. So keep an eye out for Aston Villa. I predicted that they'd be hanging around in that top four again. And they are on form for me this week. The last team that's on form for me this week is Chelsea. They're finding their rhythm, man. I don't know where it's come from. I don't know if I think their new manager is Malkesa or something like that. He used to be the Leicester manager, if I'm not mistaken, and he's got them playing well. He's getting this team to gel. He's getting this team to communicate with each other and not be, knobheads and stuff like that, and get results. He's got Nicholas Jackson scoring, which is kind of crazy. So I know they haven't really come up against any of the big boys just yet. But from what I see, I think it's progress for Chelsea. I still think it's a little bit too soon for them. They're very young. They're still a very young team. And that manager has a big job on his hands, keeping all of those guys level-headed and keeping them all happy and giving them all game time. So very interesting what's going over there at Chelsea. I don't know. We'll see kind of what happens in January, if they keep signing players or not, and what their whole plan is behind that. But for now, on the pitch, they look good. They're playing fun football, and they're an attacking force. They are an attacking force. I will say that. So, special mentions, and I got to bring them up for the on-form category. Brighton and Nottingham Forest, still undefeated. Both of those teams. What can you say? I don't know where Nuno Santos is getting, I don't know where he's getting his riz from, bro. I don't know why this man is just out of nowhere, just is putting on defensive master classes against teams week in, week out, week in, week out. And they're exceeding expectations, man. Solid defense will get you far in any sport, right? Not just football. If you are defensively good, you will go far in any sport. And if things stay there and they keep sticking for them, I'd imagine that they hang around in that mid table, right? And they get close to those conference league spots. Same thing with Brighton. Brighton, I think Brighton is going to compete for a Champions League spot. I know a lot of you guys said that I was crazy when I made that prediction in a video or two ago. I think Brighton is right there, bro. I really do. Nice young manager, young team, different vibe. It's like Chelsea, right? But it's just like a completely different vibe than Chelsea, where it's a ton of young players, but they have some legends in there. They got Millie in there. They got some older players in there to kind of keep these guys level headed and not, break under the pressure and do goofy stuff on and off the field, all that stuff. They have those guys in there. Expect Brighton to hang around the top four, man. I can see them sneaking into a Europa League spot and getting close to a Champions League spot. And I say this, and I've been saying this week in, week out. I know a lot of people are like, oh, Brighton's, kind of flimsy. I don't think so. We will see, though. Those two are special mentions. But, Sugarman, Jay, Arteta did spend some time either before the Arsenal job or during observing Diego Madrid tactics. Can't remember exactly. So for me, it's not surprising. Yeah, Simeone and Madrid. It looks so similar. It's so crazy how Arteta has just completely shifted from, in just one season, the pretty passing. Everything is organized. Everything has to be a specific way that he learned under Pep Guardiola. And now he's just low block, rows, 5 at the back, 4 at the back, 4 center backs at the back, 2 DMs, try to break us down. You know what I mean? And we're just going to steal goals from our center backs. Our center backs are going to get up, get big, and head in. Set pieces are our thing. That it's just out of nowhere, and that might be the way that they need to play this season with Odegaard out, right? With some of those, I think I saw that David Raya was may have gotten a knock or something like that. Some of their key guys are out. This may be the way that they need to play moving forward, and they don't have that definitive number 9 that can go and grab goals. They have Havertz in there, who's almost like an additional midfielder, and Gabriel Jesus, who's more of a winger than a striker for me. So maybe this is the way that they feel like they need to play in order to beat Man City. And I mean, it worked at the Etihad for the most part for 97 minutes until Man City did Man City stuff. And I'm seeing a lot of the Arsenal fans on Twitter and social media and stuff like that complaining about Man City, like, oh, play until Man City scores. Welcome to competing against Man City. Welcome to the title race. Welcome to playing against, one of the best teams in the world with the best manager and unlimited funds. Welcome. You guys said that Klopp complained and that he whined and he bitched and moaned and all that extra stuff. And now look, now who's complaining and moaning about, Manchester City and 115 charges? Remember when Arsenal fans were like kind of on Man City's side because Arteta came from City, right? I remember when Mikel Arteta was defending a lot of the officiating that was going on in the Premier League against us and was defending that. And now look. So welcome to going against the machine. You have to give it your all. You have to be perfect. You cannot drop points. You cannot lose games. And you can't come to the Etihad, or they can't come to your home pitch and you park the bus. You will not win a title doing it that way. Klopp has been the only one that's been able to yoink titles off of Pep in his entire career. because Jurgen Klopp has decided that our team is gonna kill you when we get on the pitch. We are going to try to kill you. We're not gonna sit back. We're not gonna let you pass it around our penalty box. We are going to come after you and give your defenders the worst night of their lives. And that's why Pep feared Liverpool. He feared Mo Salah and Firmino and Mane because we were the only teams that were brave enough to come at these guys. And I don't think Arsenal really understand. In order to beat this Man City side, you have to be offensively special. You have to be offensively brilliant in order to beat this Manchester City side. I get the defensive tactics. I don't think it's going to work against City. As you guys can see, they find ways to win. They find ways to get goals if you let them figure it out. What's up, Brian? Watching from Kenya. Hey, big up, brother. Absolutely. Absolutely. But thank you, by the way, for tuning in all the way from Kenya. That's awesome. And they will find a way to beat you. And that brings me to the teams that are out of form. Manchester City. Oh my gosh. Can you believe that? I put the top team in the Premier League is out of form. The number one team in the Premier League is out of form. I did it. Here's why. Injuries. From what I understand, KDB is going to be out for a little bit. Rodri's out for the entire season. They have Gundogan and Kovacic are their midfielders right now. That doesn't bode well for Manchester City, especially in a longer type of season that we're seeing with this Champions League format. And they're in every competition, and they probably will be in every competition for long periods of time. I think after this clash with Arsenal, they both came out wounded. They're both hurt after this clash. Nobody came out healthy. Tensions were high. Both teams rattled mentally. This was the best result that you could have gotten or you could have asked for as a Liverpool fan, in my personal opinion. Yep. City are currently 2-0 up against Watford in the League Cup. Nice. Good for them, man. Good for them. They're expected to win those games. If they don't win those games, I don't know. Right? So hopefully they stay in the League Cup. They stay in the FA Cup. They stay in the Champions League. And the schedule just gets overwhelming for them. Right? And they can't keep it up. Something falters somewhere. Right? And that gives Liverpool the opportunity to come after them. Because I think it's open, bro. I think it's there. And then Andre, hi from Croatia. Keep the content coming. Support my friend. Absolutely. Thank you. I actually had a really good friend from Croatia. Not a really good friend, but I knew a guy from Croatia. And he said it's one of the most beautiful places in all of Europe. And Croatia literally means like 1,000 islands or something like that. Like that's what the actual name means. Or correct me if I'm wrong. That there's just like so many islands, beaches. It's sunny. It's beautiful out there. But that's what he told me. So I don't know. And then that's one of those places that I would love to visit one day. I've only been in the Netherlands, in London so far, Amsterdam and London so far. But hopefully we get to go back soon. But anyway, thank you, Andre. You're the man. The result from the weekend, everything that's kind of been transpiring since the international break. You have to think this leaves a massive opening for Liverpool. It's just like last season. Where City didn't look all the way up for it. City looked there to be gotten. City looked like they were just kind of lollygagging through everything. They didn't look like the team from previous. And Arsenal had them and they bottled it, right? I think there's another situation here where Arsenal isn't 100%, City isn't 100%, Chelsea are still rebuilding, Man United are still rebuilding, Tottenham are still very young. The title is there for Liverpool, and Slot has been quietly putting together a nice little season so far. And he's doing a good job managing expectations, though, that like, hey, we're just getting going, we're just getting started. But I will be the first one to say, I think there's something special going on at Liverpool. And I said it last season. But when everyone was saying, "Oh, this is going to be a drop off year for Klopp," he lost a bunch of key players, rebuilding a whole new midfield, and then we went through Christmas at the top of the table, which statistically, it's rare that you don't win the league when that happens. And we just had that slide after the winter break. And I think if we just pulled together like maybe one or two results, we could be looking at a different inning of Jurgen Klopp's reign. And that's why I think it's going to be super important for us to strengthen in January, which I think we will. Right. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. Sugarman J, it's open. I love Arsenal, and the media are the ones pushing the narrative that they will be the team to beat City. And it's important because it'll allow the focus on Arsenal more than Liverpool. And it's so true. No one is talking about us. No one is talking about us, man. And we've just been quietly just putting together a nice little season, only losing one time. After with that loss at Anfield, it helped us stay completely under the radar. And I think that actually is going to end up benefiting us in the long run. Balak, Kalele, both Roger and KDB were out for this some time last season and ended up winning the league. All I'm saying to Liverpool fans was shouldn't put your hopes high in Slot's first season. If you go all the way, so be it. No, I totally get that. And I think, and that's kind of the point that I'm trying to make is that it was there last season. It was totally there last season. And nobody jumped on it. We went through that slide after the FA Cup, after that match against Manchester United, and that took us out of our rhythm. Arsenal went to the Etihad, Man City came to Arsenal, the Emirates, and they parked the bus when they should have been attacking and got the results instead of standing and applauding a draw, right? Instead of attacking and winning the title at home, essentially, they decided to go for the draw and not decide to and not beat City. And that game, if they won that game, they would have won the league, right? So I get what you're saying. Both Roger and KDB were out, but that's of our own doing why there wasn't a different champion last season, in my personal opinion. Happily, Eggs, my boy. Lost form after all the first teamers came back from injury. That is so true. That is so true. I completely forgot about that because the boys, I remember the kids were actually kicking ass and we won the Carabao Cup with kids. I remember that. I don't even know how I could forget that. But we won the Carabao Cup with kids. And then Salah came back from injury. Sabo came back from injury. All of our senior players finally came back from injury. Allison came back. I remember Callagher had like a 10 or 12 game run in the side because Allison was injured for a bit. And they all came back and then everything just kind of went downhill. The rhythm was off. And I think maybe Klopp should have just mixed them in a little bit better instead of throwing them all in straight off the bat. I think we should have probably saw them get kind of like what Slot does, right? Get 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 60 minutes, then you're off, 70 minutes, then you're off. Right. You know what I mean? Slowly reincorporate them back into the side instead of just kind of throwing them all back in there at once. But, you can't go back. You can't go back on these things, unfortunately. But the second team that is out of form this week, and I know I was kind of getting off track, Arsenal. Arsenal, another undefeated team in the out of form category this week. There were some officiating issues. Right? For Arsenal. And then I'm seeing Sugarman say, it's why Klopp man management style is always questionable if they're in the realms of favoritism. Yes. And if you've been following this channel for very long, that was like one of my one things. As much as I loved Klopp so much and how amazing of a manager he is, probably our greatest ever Premier League manager, right? In the Premier League era. He had some favoritism issues, man. And he should have let some of these younger players step in, get an opportunity, make a name for themselves, and let the guys that are performing continue to perform and let his favorites earn their way back into the side. Which is why I absolutely love the way that Slot does is that like, hey, if you're not giving me what I want, I'm going to go with the next guy. We haven't seen Gerald Kwanzaa since the start of the season, right? Where Klopp would have stuck with JQ. Klopp would have stuck with JQ. That was his guy. That was his, his next prodigy, center back prodigy. And Konate, remember, Konate didn't even get a run of games in at the end of that last season, which is kind of crazy. Konate would he was on the bench for, I remember for the last 5 or maybe 8 games. And then now you look at him and it's just like, holy crap, VVD and Konate might be the best center back pairing in the league. And Konate is close to VVD, bro. Konate is close, in my personal opinion. Best, I believe he's the best in the air out of every center back in the Premier League right now, above VVD, who we know is typically takes that crown. Konate has been outstanding this season. And I'm here to tell you guys that let's start giving our boys a little bit more love and letting them know that he's a colossus, and there's only one best center back in the league, and that's VVD, but he should hold his head high because he's a close second, in my personal opinion. So, but the Arsenal game, they're out of form for me. A lot of weird officiating in the Arsenal game. It feels like both of these teams lost 2 points versus gained 1 point. Am I wrong here? I think these two teams, they lost 2 points instead of gained a point each. I think Arsenal for sure lost 2 points. To hold them off for 97 minutes and then just to get a goal banged in, right? So it's tough for Arsenal. And you have to say, this is of their own doing, right? You have to admit that this is of their own doing. That the only reason why they're down to 10 men is because they're being knobheads, and they're doing this whole dark arts thing, and they're kicking the ball away, and Ben White is hitting people on corners and stuff like that, and they're screaming and getting in people's face. They're quite literally Atletico London. They're literally Atletico London right now. And apparently, and this is from kind of the off the press kind of segment that I do where I'm reading the news, but I've seen some news come out that a lot of Premier League teams are filing complaints against the Arsenal players because of some of their tactics. And I 100% agree. And for the people who are coming after Erling Haaland for throwing the ball at the guy's head and then telling Arteta to be humble, I love that shit. When you want to come and you want to shithouse and you want to be, you want to be a goofball and you want to do everything but play football, this is what you get. You play silly games, you get silly prizes. You get dumb yellow cards, you get dumb red cards, and your team goes down to 10 men. You get told to be humble. That's what happens. And I remember when they came to Anfield, I remember that Ben White is trying to come after Connor Bradley, and people forget about that. They're talking about Erling Haaland and he's so unprofessional, blah blah blah. If Ben White does that, there's a line of people outside of the Emirates Stadium saying that's my defender. That's my guy. Oh, he's such a shithouse. We love him. Blah, 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 blah. If Ben White walks up to Pep Guardiola and says, be humble, Arsenal fans are eating that up. Let's be honest here, right? They defend their guys for doing similar things. And then when somebody else does that, it's a problem, right? And then Kalele said, I think our youth and the likes of Kwanzaa, Elliott, Jaden, Trey and Yoni, etc., will suffer under Slot, which is the only worrying thing about Slot so far for me. He doesn't give the youth time. That is true. That is very true. Kalele. That was one thing that I noticed, and that worried me a little bit too, is that before Harvey got injured, he barely got a run in the side. And I thought Harvey was one of our better players, not only in last season, towards the end of last season, if not our best player that we had towards the end of last season. He was our best player in preseason too. And he didn't even get a sniff in the first team. But I think I'll battle you on the whole Trey and Yoni thing. I think he likes Trey. I think he likes Trey a whole ton. And I think we'll see actually Trey start tomorrow. And I'm going to go over my predicted 11 as well. But I think Trey is one of the only guys that I think he thinks has what it takes to play his style of football, right? A lot of these other guys, that ended up leaving, Stephen, Clark, we haven't even seen uh, uh, um, like Kwanzaa since the first game. We haven't even seen. I can't remember what the young striker's name. Eggs. Remind me of the young striker's name. That I think his name is Jaden, right? But you're very very high on him. I think he had a Portsmouth move lined up, and that ended up falling through because he was injured. But I haven't heard from him and seen him. I think his dad used to play as well. I can't believe I'm spacing on his name. But I'm seeing you there, Eggs. Also, even with Rodri missing, Man City won't drop many points, and that's true. I was relying on Arsenal to win. You deal with Haaland by bullying him. He will try to bully you, right? It's true, and I know. And I'm not saying that City are going to. Jaden Dance, thank you. Boom, Jaden Dance. Thank you. Jaden Dance. Where is Jaden Dance? We need to put him on like a wanted poster. Where is Jaden Dance? Where is our boy at? I heard he got injured. He was supposed to be going to Portsmouth. That fell through. He got injured. And where the hell has he been? Right. But I'm not counting on City to drop very many points, but I am counting on City to drop points because of the lack of personnel. But I can see them, and then we'll talk about this in a second. I can see them going into January and strengthening, though, in the meantime. Right? I can see them going in and strengthening in the meantime. And I'll talk about some of the targets that I think is like legitimate and that we should probably be worried about. But Chile, I see you. Sometimes it's handbags on the pitch. It's all part of the game. Yep. It's all part of the game. I love that stuff. So people were saying like, "Oh my goodness, blah blah blah." No, let's keep the competitive nature of the game. Let's keep that going, guys. Let's keep it competitive. But when you do the silly stuff, the dark arts, all that kind of stuff, don't go and complain when you get a dumbass yellow card. Don't go and complain. Like, get a real yellow card where you got into the guy's face, you pushed him. You know what I mean? Don't get a kick the ball away yellow card, guys. Those are silly. Those are dumb. Bring intensity to the game. Bring fight to the game. You know what I mean? But all in all, I think this is great for the Premier League. This rivalry is way hotter than ours, bro. Against Man City, we were kind of friendly with Man City. Arsenal, it seemed like they want Haaland's head now. You know what I mean? Which I think is great. When they come to the Emirates, make sure you guys keep that energy and you don't park the bus. Is all I'm saying. And Chile again, forgot about Harvey. Bless him. We love Harvey, bro. Harvey is the man. I really do hope he gets a shot in this side with Arne Slot when he comes back. I'm praying that he comes back healthy and the same level that he was. I really like Harvey a lot. There was a time where I didn't, and I didn't think he was good enough for Liverpool. He's proved me completely wrong. And then Sugarman, as much as I don't like it, I get the tactics of Arsenal as a person of football. It's enjoyment in the good and in the bad. Everyone loves South America football nations, but they are prime examples. Oh, 100%. If you watch the Copa America at all over the break, you got a lesson in shithousery. You got a lesson in how to do the dumbest things, draw the dumbest fouls, and like make the game go like 10 times longer than it needs to go because of all the added time and the diving and stuff like that. I actually went to a Copa America game here in Vegas, and it was insane. Endrick was flying all over. He didn't complete one pass when in that match. He just kept falling to the floor. It was actually ridiculous. And you could see Nunez and Uruguay were getting so pissed off. And when they won that game, dude, they were lit. I was pitch side, which was really cool. And that like Luis Suarez and Nunez, they were screaming, "Vamos!" You know what I mean? Like screaming at the Brazilian players and stuff like that as they walked off, heads held low. It was actually kind of funny. But yeah, Eggs. I think Slot will give the kids games in the domestic cup. Most continental managers blood their youngsters in the domestic cups. Yep, I can see it happening. So I think we'll get it. I think we'll probably see some good young runouts in the tomorrow. But let's talk about my prediction for tomorrow, my predicted lineup, and then let me know what your guys' predictions are for the game tomorrow, and then we'll wrap up stream after that. But West Ham, that's going to be a tricky game, especially if they go with a strong lineup. I can see if they end up playing some of their best players. I think this might be a really tricky fixture for us, but I do think we will rotate in some young players. Because it is West Ham, I don't think we'll rotate in a whole ton of players, but this is my predicted 11. I think Callagher will stay in goal, mainly because Allison is out, right? Allison is out, and Callagher was outstanding in the last match as well, which is a shame that we went and bought Gigi Mamardashvili when we have probably the best number 2 in the world in our team, which kind of sends a message to Quivine and tells him that he probably doesn't have a future at the club, which is unfortunate because I think he's a great heir to Allison, but they're just a little bit too close in age. I think they're thinking they're a little bit too close in age to even justify it, right? So unfortunate for him. I think he will go on to be a number 1 somewhere and be a top number 1. But in the meantime, let's enjoy what looks to be probably his last season, and give him his flowers while he's here. He's helped us through some of the craziest times, and has kept that level there, right? In one of your posts, you said you have nothing to say about the owners. Are you happy with how they've been running this club? Hope you give your opinion on FSG. Yeah, for me, if you've been following this channel for a extended period, I don't really like to bring them up, bro. Mainly because it doesn't do anything, right? For me, it doesn't. It's hard to, especially in the modern day, right? Before you could push out owners, right? In the early Premier League era with fan protests and stuff like that. We live in such a different age where they get their money from like everywhere, right? They get their money from merchandise, social media, brand partnerships, all this extra stuff that they get from just owning Liverpool. I don't think they give a damn what we think, which is unfortunate. And I wish they weren't like that. I wish they didn't run Liverpool so corporate. But I think there's not really much that we can really do beyond of just backing our team, supporting them, and supporting the manager, and making sure that our voice is heard in those stadiums, online, wherever we're watching from all around the world, right? And supporting this manager more than anything. And then let the cards fall where they may, right? I think justice always ends up prevailing in the end. And if they are really terrible owners, we'll end up with new owners eventually, right? But for now, I'm okay with FSG. I don't really care if they're in or they're out. I'm Arne Slot in. I'm Mo Salah in. Get Trent a new deal. I am get VVD a new deal. I am get Salah a new deal. As long as that's done, they won't see me outside of their offices. You know what I mean? Waiting outside with a bat or a shotgun. You know what I mean? But if those don't get locked up, you might see Roman in the Unconformed channel outside of their offices in Boston, waiting for him to come out of their door. But all I can say is I really do enjoy the fact that we don't have any FFP problems as well. Yep, agree. Eggs. So I agree with that, and I love that about how they've run the club in that right. And if you look at the team, let's be honest here, we have one of the best teams in the Premier League, and we've done it so smartly. And we've done it without spending $1 billion. We've done it without, buying every young player in the league and gambling and hoping that one of them ends up panning out. We've been able to do that, right? So I mean, we have a front three of Darwin Nunez, Luis Diaz, and Mo Salah, right? Wait, what the f is going on? What's up? What's up, Brian? How are you doing, bro? Yeah, go live every Tuesday, my man. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the ONFORM podcast, Brian. It is also available for you for later consumption. I typically post it on Thursdays. You can stream it from any podcast platform that you want. I strip the audio from here and then just upload it. So welcome to the channel. I do this live though every Tuesday. So happy for you to be here, my man. And yeah, that's what I would say with FSG. They're not perfect. I don't think any ownership group is perfect, but I do appreciate the fact that we're not facing 115 charges. We're not worried about getting points deducted. We've put together a phenomenal team staying within the boundaries and the confines of the Premier League's financial fair play rules, and probably one of the best teams in the league. And we've done it insanely cheap. I mean, I believe that that Ryan Gravenberch was like what, 30 mil, 45 mil or something like that. We got Sabo with on a $70 million deal, which is a little high, but I think it's still good business. We got Mo Salah for dirt cheap and has become $1 billion asset for us. We got Luis Diaz out of nowhere. That Fabinho deal that we did was insane. Darwin Nunez was probably our most expensive player that we got, but we got him in installments. You know, like the way that they've been handling Michael Edwards and that team, and then all of the guys that came after him and then now before him have all done a great job, right? So we have to tip our hat to that team and that, right? Are they perfect? Absolutely not. But do they have our club in a great position where a new manager has come in and has been able to fly? We cannot ignore that point, right? So, and then Sugarman, I don't do either FSG in or FSG out. Major plus, we don't have the financial issue plaguing the league of teams, right? Stadium developed continually, training ground developed, women's team in Melwood. Yep. You love it. If you are a true supporter of the club as a whole, men and women's team, and I know somebody mentioned that, like, hey, you should cover the women's team. I'm like, maybe I will. But you're thinking like, man, they've done a great job. They've done a bang up job, giving us a phenomenal youth system in the process, bringing on youth talents, and being attractive enough to lure top youth talents from other top youth academies like Chelsea into our youth academy, right? Don't forget that Raheem Sterling also came from our youth academy as well. Trent Alexander-Arnold came from our youth academy. Queeving Callagher, you know what I mean? So we have a really nice little resume of academy products that are now making names for themselves. Rio Namuha, I think if I'm saying his name right. I will get that name down correct one of these days, especially if he keeps playing the way that he has. He's been out of control in the youth system from what I've been hearing. Like, it's hard for me to complain. Do I want more signings? Yes, I do. This last transfer window was pretty meh. I do want more signings, but I do think that January will go to work. I think after Slot has had a few games in with some of these players that he knows who he wants, he knows he wants to move, I think we'll go to work in this transfer window. And we'll talk about that in a sec. But I think Connor Bradley and Tsimikas is going to, that kid that we got from Chelsea is a problem, bro. He is a problem. I like him a lot. The fast feet was insane, bro. The fast feet, and then his crossing ability, I think, is very underrated as well. And then he trained with the first team, I believe, last week. So Slot sees it too. Him and Trey and Yoni, oh man, if they pan out in the way that I think that Trey and Rio can pan out to, we have two world-class players from our youth academy. So I'm very interested in eggs. It's true, the window was quiet for most clubs, eggs, except Brighton. Brighton for some reason went crazy, and they look good. I mean, even City only bought one player, and it kind of wasn't a buy. It was like a transfer from their other club, Savinho, from Girona to, or I think it was the French club actually is where he actually came from to Man City, right? But the starting 11, Queen Callagher, we're going Connor Bradley at right back, Simicast at left back. I can see Kwanzaa getting a run in. I can see VVD still staying in. I was going to say Joe Gomez, but I think playing West Ham, and odds are they're probably going to go a little bit strong. I think Slot's going to want that defensive solidity in there. In midfield, I was going to put Endo in there, but I'm changing my mind. I think Ryan Gravenberch is going to continue with his form. I think they're going to Slot's going to try to keep that rhythm going. I think Trey and Yoni gets a start. There's a lot of rumors and a lot of noise around whether he starts tomorrow or not. And Slot is saying, here's a good chance, right? I think Trey does get a run out, and I think Curtis gets a run out in the number 10. I think we rest Sabo and we rest Maka on the bench, which I think we'll have the option of bringing those guys in a little bit later. And then for attack, I can see us going with Cody Gakpo, Darwin Núñez, and I don't think Chiesa is starting. I don't think Chiesa is going to start this game. I think he will come in probably around the 50, maybe 60-minute mark if things are going well. But I think we'll probably go with I think we're probably going to go with Salah. I think we're probably going to go with Salah to round those guys out. I think it'll be Gakpo, Núñez, Salah, and but we'll see. Maybe Diaz gets a run in because he's on fire. But I think we'll rotate Gakpo in, let him get another standout performance. And I expect a lot of movement on the bench, around the 60, 70th minute mark for Slot to rotate in some of these players that haven't got a ton of play time and some of these players that I think will stick into the team. Oh, he's going to start. Chiesa is going to start. Oh, okay. Good. Okay, then I think he rotates Salah then. Then I think that's the one. And then they put Chiesa on the right. What I found interesting is that Chiesa played as a striker when he came on. He played in the middle and actually looked good, right? He actually looked really good in the middle as a striker when he came on. I liked what I saw in the little 15 minutes that he had. So I'll be really interested to see what happens there. I'll be interested to see if he goes back in on Jota. Right. Yep. Travis, AM, Gakpo, Jota, Chiesa. Really interested to see if that's the lineup for tomorrow. I think Darwin does get another start tomorrow, though, which is why I'm kind of iffy on Jota, because I think Slot would, in my mind, I think he probably wants to give him a little bit more game time. Unfortunately, Elliott is still injured, and he probably will be injured for the next 2 or 3 weeks. I'm seeing your lineup there of Jones, Endo, Elliott. That would be ideal, right? He's probably going to be injured up until that Chelsea game. Towards the end of October. But that back line I can see happening. I don't know if Gomez gets a start, especially if West Ham goes strong and they bring in Kudus and, you know what I mean, Jared Bowen, those types of guys. So we'll see. But that's my predicted 11. I'm going Connor Bradley, Simicast on the wings, Kwanzaa, VVD. I'm going Gravenberch and DM. And Yoni and Jones right in front of him. And I'm going Gakpo, Núñez, and now Chiesa. I think that's going to be the 11. With Callagher in goal, of course. So I think that he really liked what he saw with Curtis Jones in the 10. Believe it or not. I think Curtis Jones is a better attacking player than he is a box-to-box 8. In my personal opinion. Has a good strike on him. If we can get him into positions where he can hit the ball more, I think we could be cooking. But let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think the prediction is going to be for tomorrow? I'm going to go with Liverpool 2-1. I'm going Liverpool 2-1 tomorrow against West Ham. And I'm going with Trey and Yoni to have a standout performance. I think Trey and Yoni is going to be our man of the match tomorrow if he gets to play. If he doesn't get to play, I can see another Ryan Gravenberch masterclass. And him just eating up every single man of the match award that we get that's available right now. And I hope Chiesa gets a goal. I hope Chiesa gets a goal. 3-1 LFC. I love that. I love that. I hope we do get a 3-1 tomorrow. I do think West Ham will end up will break through. They're good on their day in these one-off games, especially if they go strong. We'll see. Gakpo man of the match. That's a good shout. That's a very good shout. I like that. I like that pick. Gakpo was insane against Milan. Um, I can see if Ryan Gravenberch gets another run. Yep, like I said before, I think he does. He does get in there. VVD may have a monster game. I can see that. I can see Bradley reintroducing himself to the Liverpool faithful. Remember when he was like putting on like generational performances at one point when Trent was out. But and then last one here, eggs. I wonder if Slot will do something drastic. He's known at Feyenoord for putting players in positions that wouldn't he hadn't been known for playing. Baffles the opposition. That's true. He did that with Gear Chirita a lot. Put him at center back, put him at right back, put him in defensive midfield. Very, very weird kind of setup sometimes. And David Henko, I think that's his name, would a lot of the times play in center back, or he'd play left back, or he would drift into midfield as well. So I'm really interested to see. Chiesa and Gakpo will score. I love that. I'm not a betting man, so no scores for me. I get you, Sugar Man, bro. I don't want to jinx that shit, bro. 3-1 for Chile. West Ham will be up for it for sure, especially after that Chelsea result for sure. Would be nice to see Darwin and Chiesa get goals. I would love that, Andre. If Darwin and Chiesa can get some goals tomorrow, bro, you might see me, scream like a little girl. Everyone knows how much I love Darwin and how much I want to see him succeed. And then Chiesa, the fact that he's just so happy to just be here and grateful to be a part of our organization is a breath of fresh air. But I can see us going again, maybe for Zubamendi in the transfer window. But I also can see Manchester City going for Zubamendi in the transfer window, and I'll leave it on that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in January. Zubamendi, he gives me the feeling of a Man City player for some reason. I can just envision, I can see him in the light blue kit. I don't know why. And especially if Rodri is going to be out for the rest of the season, I can see him going for Zubamendi. But I do think we do go in for another DM. I do think we get another center back in January, and we will be busy. But as for the game tomorrow, it should be an amazing one. I will be doing a match reaction for that game tomorrow. That'll drop probably within like 30 or 45 minutes after the game ends, or maybe an hour or so. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you guys for tuning in with us tonight. If you missed some of it, I see you in there, Dan. I didn't miss you, brother. If you missed a little bit of the stream tonight, I'm going to be posting the podcast on all streaming platforms, and then you'll also be able to rewatch it here on the channel. So you guys have an amazing night. Appreciate you all. And you let me know if you guys want to see more stuff like this and chat and do more things like live stream. So appreciate you all. Again, thank you everybody who's decided to subscribe to the channel. As of late, we continue to grow and grow. We're on a quest to 3,000 subs. Let's do it. I think we can hit it by the end of this month. Appreciate you all. You guys have an amazing, amazing day and an awesome night. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.